Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're digging into something pretty cool. An idea from the chapter Dr. House is an algorithm.
Yeah, it's from AI by Sci-Fi. Let's talk about artificial intelligence and watch Netflix by Jorge Garapires. One of you wanted us to unpack this idea.
Right, this question, could Dr. House, the medical genius from TV, actually be, well, an algorithm?
Exactly. So our mission today is to explore that. We'll look at how his methods might connect to things like artificial intelligence, bioinformatics, even mathematical modeling in medicine.
And we're using the book AI by Sci-Fi as our main source here.
Let's jump in.
Okay, so the central argument, it's really that House's diagnostic process, which looks so intuitive, maybe it actually mimics how AI processes just huge amounts of information.
Yeah, it's less about those sudden flashes of insight maybe and more about analyzing everything. The book points out his unique approach.
How he always sees the big picture.
Right. He doesn't just focus on one specialty like we see so often now. He pulls back and looks at the whole system, considers possibilities others might dismiss.
And the book compares that to mathematicians who work with medical data, doesn't it?
It does.
Yeah.
They also need that broad view to see the underlying patterns, the stuff you might miss if you're just, say, a cardiologist or a neurologist. It's about connecting the dots across different fields.
That makes sense. And then there's the connection to the real world with that Netflix series Diagnosis.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point.
Right.
The consultant for the actual Dr. House show, Dr. Lisa Sanders, her method in real life for these super complex cases.
She puts them online, right?
She does. She uses collective intelligence, gets input from doctors, specialists, even just curious minds all over the world.
Wow. So the person who helped create this fictional super diagnostician relies on pooling lots of perspectives.
Exactly. Which is kind of like how an AI would work, processing diverse data streams to find an answer. It suggests that maybe one human can't always hold all the pieces for those really tough cases.
Okay, so this is where AI might have an advantage then. The book mentions the availability heuristic.
Right, the availability heuristic. It's basically a cognitive bias.
Yep.
We tend to think things are more likely or important if they come to mind easily.
Like stuff we saw recently or things related to our own job.
Precisely. A doctor might overemphasize diseases in their specialty because that's what's available in their mind. But an AI, it doesn't have that limitation, theoretically.
So it could just churn through everything. Common diseases, super rare ones, all with equal consideration initially.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be biased by its recent experiences or its specialty in the same way a human doctor might be. It could consider a much, much wider range.
The book had an example, right? An episode.
Yeah, the psychiatrist episode, where House diagnoses a medical condition that looks like schizophrenia. The argument is that making that leap, connecting symptoms across psychiatry and internal medicine so effectively.
That feels more like AI.
It feels more like the comprehensive analysis AI could potentially do, rather than one human mind, even a brilliant one. It's about processing across disciplines almost simultaneously.
Okay, and what about his memory? House seems to know everything.
Yes. The book brings that up too. It compares it to the idea of photographic memory.
Which is mostly a myth, right?
Largely considered one, yeah. And the book suggests House's seemingly perfect instant recall of obscure medical facts is also probably unrealistic for a person, but for an AI.
Accessing a massive database instantly, that fits.
Exactly. It aligns much better with the potential of AI to access and process huge amounts of information almost instantaneously.
So remember earlier in the book, it talked about the super brain concept, sending complex calculations to computers.
Yeah, offloading the heavy lifting.
Could House's diagnosis be seen like that? As a really complex calculation across all medical knowledge?
That's a great way to put it. The book frames his ability sifting through symptoms, history, labs, weird details as this incredibly complex computation. A task perfectly suited for, well, an algorithm.
So House, as this fictional interface for a powerful medical algorithm, it's a compelling idea. And the book ties this back to real science, too.
Absolutely. It connects it to bioinformatics and mathematical modeling in medicine. These fields already exist, using computational power, using algorithms to understand biology and disease.
Right, like analyzing genomes or modeling how epidemics spread?
Precisely. Bioinformatics is all about using computation to analyze biological data. And mathematical models help us understand complex systems. So the groundwork for seeing diagnosis as potentially algorithmic is already there in established science.
It's not just science fiction, then.
Not entirely. These fields show that algorithmic thinking is already crucial in medicine.
And AI is starting to be used in diagnosis now, isn't it? Maybe not fully autonomously, but
Definitely. AI models are being developed and used to help analyze scans like X-rays or MRIs, identify subtle patterns in patient data that humans might miss, even predict risks.
the line is blurring.
It is. Now, the book acknowledges, current AI isn't perfect. It mentions the broken leg paradox. Elsewhere, i- AI can miss obvious context sometimes. It's not human intelligence.
But its core strength.
Its core strength is processing massive data sets and finding patterns. And that is fundamentally algorithmic, which brings us right back to the argument about House.
Okay, so wrapping this part up.
hmm
The big insight is using Dr. House, this character we know, as a way to understand something real about AI.
I think so, yeah. He is a vehicle to explore how algorithmic thinking, like what AI does, could tackle incredibly complex problems, even something as human-seeming as medical diagnosis.
It makes you see the character and maybe even expertise itself a bit differently.
It really does. Looking at House through this algorithm lens makes you question what brilliance really is in these complex fields. Is it intuition, or is it incredibly powerful information processing?
So, to sum it up, Dr. House, this fictional diagnostic wizard, can be viewed as representing an algorithmic approach, synthesizing disparate data, finding patterns. It mirrors what AI aims to do in complex fields like medicine.
Right. It highlights the potential and the growing reality of AI in these knowledge-heavy domains.
Which leaves us with something to think about.
Definitely. Here's a thought for you. How many other skills that we think of as purely human intuition, maybe expert skills in finance or law or even art, could they also have underlying algorithmic structures?
Structures that AI could potentially learn, replicate, or maybe even improve upon.
Exactly. What does that suggest about expertise itself? And how might humans and AI work together in the future in these really demanding fields?
I'm talking.
So it's definitely food for thought.